YouTube. Today I will be showing you how to make a Hayabusa helmet and a general tutorial on how to make any real cardboard helmet without peppercorn. This is one that I showed in my previous video, and you don't need anything special. Only things that you're going to need is a hot glue gun, a ton of glue sticks. I got a 50 pack and it's only about $5. And scissors or shears or whatever kind of cutting tool you get, and an X-Acto knife I would highly recommend for most sections. Cardboard and a little bit of cardstock. And paper could also help in certain areas if you ever have a hole that you could just patch up, and spray paint will get over it. But for this part, that's all you need. And you can get a box of cardboard at Walmart for 68 cents. Again, the glue sticks are 5 cents, or yeah, 5 cents, $5, sorry. And you can get a glue gun for $2, and scissors for probably $3. So it's very inexpensive. So let's begin. What I always end up doing is make a strip, and I'll show you what I mean. So get your cardboard. Oh, and one more tip. Plug in your glue gun a few minutes before you actually start the project, or before you really need to glue anything, because it takes a little, depending on what glue gun you get, it will take a little bit to warm up. So just kind of do your general cutting at first. And always save excess cardboard. I have a bunch of little pieces here that I have just so I can put some small little detail on the helmet at the end. And also always have a picture of whatever helmet that you're doing right next to you, so you can get an exact reference. There we go. And if you're doing it on a screen like I am, make sure that your screen doesn't time out every 3 seconds, because that kind of gets annoying. So just get a long piece of board. It doesn't have to be exactly the right size, because it's going to be a strip for the top of your head. And just cut out a strip, and if it doesn't quite fit around, then you just make another strip and glue it together. And this strip doesn't have to be too accurate. Just make sure it's not like totally curvy, because this is your base, okay? So just kind of make sure it's all even. It doesn't have to be too thick or too thin. It's just a good size. I'm a perfectionist, and with this is actually coming out really curvy. So there we go. All right. So get a good strip. Yeah, you just get a good strip, and make sure it's going with the grain. There's 2 ways that the cardboard goes with, and it's right here. If you see this little rigid spot on this side, that's what I call the grain of the cardboard, and you'll be able to see lines. So right now, the grain is going up and down, and if you bend it against the grain, it bends really easily. But if you bend it with the grain, it doesn't want to bend. Like, it doesn't want to naturally bend. You want to try and get a strip that has grain going across it, not with it. I wasn't able to do that, so I'm going to have to make my own bends. But it kind of makes it look a little bit more rigid. It doesn't matter right now, but whenever we go to the outside of the helmet, like on the dome, you want to make sure that there's that you're bending across the grain, so it doesn't look like random points. So you want to take it on your head, and you want to make sure that it goes from here all the way around. You actually want to make sure it's a little big. So that's not quite big enough. So all I do is cut a little bit more strip. I just kind of measure it out a little bit. And right now my glue gun is heating up, and make sure I made kind of a holster or something from a glue gun. You don't want it getting on your table. Just if it's like hardwood like mine, you really don't want it getting on there. So just make something a little easy so you can put your glue gun in there so it won't burn anything. But yeah, right now it's heating up, and that's why I'm doing all the cutting first. You just take a nice strip. So you just take another strip and bend it. So I always take it on the table. I'll show it right here actually. take it on the table, put your hand right here, and just pull it down, and it'll curve it real nice for you. And after that, I just glue it on. You don't want to glue. You want to stay away from gluing one point and one point directly next to each other whenever it's so skinny like this. Because what it'll actually do is make a super bendy point. You always want to make it overlapping a little bit. And so what I do there is I don't want it to be too thick there. So I take the cardboard and you just simply squeeze where you are going to be gluing the joints together. So then it's not too thick. And then that way you'll also know when to stop whenever you get glue on. Another tip, a lot of people will, like what I did whenever I first started, you will overload on the glue. You only want like a few dots on the pieces. So what you do, I put 1 and 2 dots. Sometimes it will come out as a line, don't worry about it. And you just put them together like that. You want to hold it, you always want to hold it longer than what you think it will do. Because, and you want to get used to that, and I just bent this the wrong way. You always want to get used to that, because whenever we get to heavy joints like this, if you put it down for like 2 seconds and then you let go, this is going to start curving up, and it's going to glue like, it's going to dry like that, and the glue is going to act like a support. So whenever you try and jam it back down, you're going to have to cut all that glue out. And it might not seem like a lot of glue, but all the glue that you end up pulling off, and all the strings and all the access, it turns out that you actually end up wasting about 3.5 sticks of glue per helmet. And it kind of sucks, but so just try and not waste as much glue as possible. So now it's dry. That's why I prefer a low temp, because it dries faster and it still works. If you have a medium temp, that works too. Try and avoid the high temperatures for cardboard, because whenever we can start getting to the plastic, then it's really going to melt it really quickly. So now, bring the camera up, please. You want to take it on your head, and you just kind of want to wrap it around. So here, let me bring it to the front. So you take this and you put it on your forehead, or I like to do it on the back, but for video purposes, I'm going to put it on the front. And you can just wrap it all the way around. Make sure it's even, and make sure it's sitting on a good spot on your head, like right across your forehead. I know you can't see mine, but trust me, it's right on my forehead. Just above the eyebrows, and make sure it's not touching your ears, really, because what we're going to do after this is we're going to take a strip of cardboard, and we're going to come all the way around our head, so then it can't slip down. So, take it off, and you see where it fits. So, you want to make it fit just perfect at first. So, make sure that my hair isn't getting in my eye. Make it fit just perfect, like really snug, and then you want to loosen it up probably, I don't know, just a few notches to the point where it kind of starts slipping over your head, because we're probably going to end up adding a little bit more glue, and just so there's growing room. So then after about a month or so, it will still fit. So whatever excess you have, cut that off, because you can always save strips for like the jaw or something. And right here, as you can see, you also want a pen. I have a pen here, so I'll just grab that. I do not have a pen with me right now. So, what you can do, if you don't have a pen, just take your scissors and make a little bit of a notch, because it's not really going to matter too much. Okay, there we go. So I have my notch. Sorry about that. Yes, you need a pen. Don't forget that. Again, you want to do this little overlapping thing. Right here, you don't have to pinch it, because it's nice to know where the back is or the front is, whichever one you're doing. So, again, make sure it's loose a little bit, because we're going to have this thing coming from the front to the back. Well, for me, that's front to back. Because then it won't slide all the way down. Glue gun. So, you just do a few dots. I like to do 5, 1 on each corner, and 1 in the middle. And whenever we get to bigger projects, you're going to want to do around 7, because you do the 5, you do the 4 corners and 1 in the middle, and then you want to end up doing both sides of the cardboard. So again, this is kind of a pressure point right here, so you want to hold it down for quite a while. And you could also use the glue as a sealant. So if there's any like a tiny hole, if you're going like right here, whenever you put the seam, it's gonna look all rigid. You can take. I'm used to glue. I've been working with it for a while, and I play the guitar, so I have a lot of calluses built up on my finger. But if you're not used to it, you can take like a small strip of cardboard and just run it down, so then the seam isn't as noticeable. So right now, you don't really need your picture up right now, but I just like to have it up just in case. So now that you got your thing, I also want to thank my stepbrother for holding the camera for me. He's helping out a lot. I don't have a stand, and I'm using a tablet. So, thank you, Jake. Alright, so you find your main spot, and you put it on your head. And right now, it's kind of a bit too snug for me, but that's alright. Just make sure, for you, make sure it's loose so it can slide up and down just easily. I can break it down now. So now that that's over with, you want to take another strip, just big enough to where it'll somewhat fit. This is probably not going to work. That's not going to work. Depending on how much remaining strip that you have from the axis of making this one, you can probably use that to go over, but for me, I don't think it's quite big enough. So I'll just use the rest of this. So I'm going to go across the grain. Alright. Alright, so you get a nice piece, and make sure you cut across the grain so then it can bend all over. There's certain spots where you want to cut with the grain so then it's a lot more sturdy. And that's usually with armor and things that you want to be sturdy. So now you can take this and go to the back and see if you have this little hump. Make sure it's centered as good as well as possible. Good. I don't know. I can't English. So you put it on. You can bring the camera up. And then you put it right here so you look like an alien. And then bring it all the way back and see how far it goes. So if it doesn't quite reach, you can always bring this little section up a little bit. Make sure it's still overlapping though. And pull it back. And now that it's just about right, take it off, and you can mark it. So, now I really need to... There we go. Okay, sorry about that. Pen. Get a nice pen. Don't get black. It usually doesn't work, because if you're working in a dark environment like mine... 1 second. Now we're done. Now you can probably see a lot better. Good enough? Alright, good. So, you just take a pen, you mark it, and then you glue it. Don't worry about marking the back, because as soon as you glue this, then you have a solid ground to redo it, okay? So, you always glue where you made the line, not on this, because otherwise if you glue too much, then it's going to overhang, and whenever you put it on, you'll feel the little bumps. So, I'm going to show you how I do this. I'm just going to put one big dot right smack in the middle, so then it'll squeeze around, okay? So, I take it, and I squeeze it right down, and you'll get this little bit of a ridge right here, okay? You want to take that and just wipe it away. And if you're doing it with your fingers, you can just rub your fingers together, and you make like a little glue ball. You can just drop that on the table, and put it in a section or something, you can get off. And you can put it somewhere. I won't just put it in a trash, or you can even, if you can recycle it. You can kind of use it like a soldering iron in a sense. You can take little dots of glue, or if you have a lot, like a big clump, you can actually put it on a helmet and take the glue gun and you can just solder it on there. And that really helps recycle the glue. I don't want to sound like a big green head, but trust me, you want as much glue as you can, because as soon as you get down to 3 or 4 sticks left, I don't know about you, but I'm going to start panicking because I don't have a lot of money, as you can see. So then, now that it's glued, you can now put it on your head, and you can reach all the way back. And with this, I can take the pen and I can scribble. And you want to scribble a lot. Because if you just try and make one line and say, oh yeah, I got it, and then you turn around, oh crap. You don't want that habit, because right now you can kind of make mistakes, but as soon as you get to these big pieces, there's not really a whole lot of room for mistake. So again, I kind of measure where it is, and for this one I'm going to make 2 dots because it's a little thicker on the side. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Alright, so dots, and then you just take this and go down at your line. Sorry, I have to move this so I can see. And then you just push down. And you want to push down where the glue dots are, and it will spread around. And just hold it like that. Try and get as much excess glue as possible off. It doesn't matter at this point, but it will later. So get into the habit of doing that. Alright, so that is the main part of the helmet. And this is where you build off of it, okay? So now you can put it on. There we go. Nope, wrong way again, sorry. Now you can put it on, and now it won't slip down. And the next part of doing the helmet, you need to get this done. And that's super simple to do. You just take, how many minutes are we at?
16.
So, on cardboard, and these parts are really critical. You'll see this kind of flap at the end of a cardboard box. Those are really critical for a lot of points. It gives you a good measurement for how much of what you need, especially for here. It can give you a good comparison on where to cut. So you always want to cut. You want to cut these flaps off. And the really good thing about these flaps is that they're always as wide. They're usually as wide as the actual box itself. So now you know how wide the box is. And whenever it's like this, it's across the grain. So it's perfect, unless you end up cutting this way. But since usually on helmets you need more vertical pieces than just flat horizontal going around it, it's perfect. So now that you have this, you want to take it on the table. Can you see this? You know, I'll just do this. There's a bed in my way, so I can't quite go around it. So you just take it and you pull down with your hand on here. So I'm going to do it over here. There we go. So now it's curved. Just like that. Doesn't want to call waffle weight right now, but whatever. So this part's going to be a little tricky. It's always been tricky for me. Make sure that you don't have like really big points like this. You'll want it to curve all the way around. So, again, it can always be a little tedious. It doesn't quite matter though. There we go. So now you can just do this, and on the inside it will look a lot more. Excuse me. Sorry about that. It'll look a lot more round on the inside than on the outside, just because it's not cut. Sorry about that. Good God. Alright, so now on the inside, right here, you want to trace it with a pen. And try not to sneeze to death. Excuse me. So you want to take it as tight as you possibly can. And start tracing. So I'm going to do this. Just trace it the best you can. Can't really tell you how to. That's up to you. And you'll get a kind of an awkward shape. And whenever you do this, you want to cut outside of the lines. Okay, so then you have a little bit of room to actually put glue on here. Okay, try and cut outside of this line. So I'm going to show you. So, I'm going to cut this first line. Okay, I got too close there. Always cut outside of the line unless you're doing like a hole. Always go further in then. because then whenever you actually compare it, then you have more, you can actually trim off, because it's always better to be able to trim off more, I can't remember what I'm saying quite right. It's always better to have a little bit of access, and then you know that you can trim rather than having not enough room, and you can't put cardboard back on. There's no way that you can put a little tiny piece like this back on perfectly. And on top of that, it's a waste of glue. So yeah, you can, but like if you're shaving down wood or something, that rings true always. So always cut offside the line so you can save up on glue. But don't go too far out, like what I'm doing right here, because then you're going to waste cardboard. And whenever you're cut out cardboard, the piece will seem like it's useless, but it's actually very useful. Because what will happen is like this, you think, oh, well, I can't use this. Well, you can't use it on a very big part, of course, but you can use it for tiny pieces like this. That would work. That, I could just cut out a little oval, save these, put it in a pile. Just like the strips, put them in a pile. This, put it in a pile. So now I can actually not flail around. Find out where it can kind of fit and do so. So kind of fits right here. So you can see that I have a little bit of a hump right here. So I just do that, and then I can cut off the hump here in a sec. So you want to glue all on this. I'm going to trim it up just a little bit. Trying to do, I kind of do this, I'm going to exaggerate it right now. I glue and I go back and forth on the cardboard. But it's a little bit of a smaller design. So if you cut across the grain, you can actually see the little zigzags in here. Kind of follow those in a sense. Because then you will end up getting beads. And it really saves on glue, because if you just glue a big line, it's a waste of glue, because then you get a lot of access. Just like that. And out. Careful, of course. I've got my pinky, not my actual finger, so it hurts a little bit more. Try and put it on just as evenly. Okay, there we go. Try and put it on just as evenly as you possibly can. And wipe down the excess. And whenever you do that, you can also create like a bit of a seam. Well, this glue dried a lot faster than I thought it would, so I'm going to re-glue this section. And that's the nice thing, is that you can actually kind of do the soldering thing that I told you about. What I need to do first is shave a little bit of this off. There we go. There we go. That's much easier. So now, take a piece of cardboard, or your finger, and just slide it across that. And now I'll also make a seal on there. You want to hold it down, because this is one of the critical pinch points I was talking about. Because if I let go right now, it's starting to bubble out a little bit. You probably can't catch it on the camera just because the camera's not the best quality. Not you, Jake, but the camera. So you're going to see there's little holes and everything. That's going to be fixed on the final product. And on top of that, this is kind of skeleton and like what I like to kind of think of as an S or something. Because it fits inside of the helm. As you can see, you can't see this inside. But it is in there. Excuse me. So now I can actually carve out this hump that I have here. And as you can see there, I have a big hole. That's because it's coming up and it's not wanting to bend. So what you do is you just push it. So you want to glue the points that are touching first. And you just take a finger and you wipe it. Do this. The glue comes down. Wipe it. Same thing. And again, this is just a general tutorial on how you can first make your things, because this is exactly, and you can ask anyone that knows me, this is exactly how I start any helmet, especially this one. Except they're a little bit different as far as slipping goes, but this is the best way. So now you can actually push this closer in towards the spine of the helmet, but not yet. You want to put glue on first. And in case anyone is wondering where I got these super long things, my stepbrother got them at Michael's. I'm pretty sure you can get them at a Hobby Lobby too. We just didn't have a Hobby Lobby here. And this is, I have to use two hands, so there's no way to get this bubble stuff off, really. But we did get it at Michael's, and they have really long glue sticks. It would look like there's not as much of them, but one glue stick equals, what was it, 2.5? Yeah, 2.5 glue sticks. So if you were to buy 40 of those long ones, then you would be getting roughly...
like 80 and a half.
Yeah, about 80, 82, something like that. Got it. Alright, there we go. So, again, I still have these holes. And with the more glue in one spot, the longer it's going to take to dry. Because it's going to look dry on the outside, but on the inside it's still a gooey mess. But there we go. It looks a little bit more slanted than round, but that's fine. It's going to be going on the... In a sense, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making the shell on top of this. So this just kind of... This is the part that fits over your head, and this still fits just fine. I believe that's the right side. It is the right side. It still fits just fine. So now I can actually start cutting it out. Now you can make it a little bit more round now. You can re-glue any point that you break. And that's really it with that. Jake, there's a pause button on there. Do you see it? I want you to click there. Okay. Alright, so... Ow. So that's what you do, and you do it on both sides. And I'll be right back to save on video to show you what the finished project should be. Okay, pause it there. Right. So, I just finished this. I just finished this last piece, and as you can see, I got a big gap here. So, how you can fix that for in the future? Just get a slim piece like this. And you can approximate it piece size, and we can just slit it in right here. It's not gonna the rigidness and everything right here isn't gonna matter too much because again it's just a skeleton. So you can if you want. I'm barely gonna fill it in. There we go. So it's pretty good. Almost done with this part of the video. Now all that is left is to put it on. Up here. Yeah. It fits. So it needs to sit a little bit lower, but the weight's gonna push it down, you know. So, you're gonna look ridiculous like me if you're at this point. That's a good thing. Alright, so now that you actually have the base of your helmet, now what we need to do is make what I have here. I call it the jaw bridge, and it's essentially just tracing out your little jaw joint that you have right here. So, on the Hayabusa helmet, it's not visible, but that's just going to be part of the skeleton. And eventually I'm going to make this a little bit more round, and it actually comes out to a point, almost. And, yeah, it just comes out to a point, and there's a little bit of a ridge, but that, excuse me, good gracious. We can just make it round to that ridge. We're actually going to make the helmet because, right, look. Excuse me.
I think it's the glue.
What?
I think it's the glue.
Good gravy. Alright. So we're going to actually make the helmet without making this flowy... Alright, I'm good. Without making all this flow stuff that comes out like this, okay, I'm gonna quit here soon.
It's time.
So right here, up here where the eyes are, it comes to a point, and what we can actually use for the lens is just polarized lens. So it's gonna be right here. So right here is where it's gonna stop, and this is where 2 points come in. Right here. And those big points we're not gonna worry about. We're just going to worry about making the base of the helmet, so the front we're not going to put too much detail until we make that wavy stuff that happens. And that's it. Yeah, so the next part we're going to put the jaws on, and we're going to finish the back of the helmet, and we're going to get the side done. And yeah, that's it for this video. I know it's kind of long just to get this done, but I just I wanted to put as much detail as possible in it, so everyone knows exactly what to have. So, next part will be uploaded here soon. Thank you for watching.